Well, that was fun, wasn't it? Champions Cup round 1 done, lots to talk about, and I want to get into it on this video. If you appreciate club rugby being covered and you want more of it, well, you can show your appreciation and help spread the channel and help grow the show by giving the video a thumbs up, by getting stuck in the comments. And if you haven't already, maybe this will be the video I earn your subscription. I would really appreciate it. So I've got a team of the week for you, 15 best players. I'm also going to pick my top 3 performers overall from the weekend. But I've got a few little stories I want to tuck into before we get there, because the story of the weekend, well, probably one of the big ones is English Gallagher Premiership teams winning. 7 out of 8 of them chalked up wins. And compare that to the United Rugby Championship and the top 14, where teams from their leagues won 2, drew 1 and lost 5. I did not see this coming from the English clubs. In my preview video, if you watch that, you'll know that I kind of poured cold water on the chances of English clubs of performing. And I think that there's with good reason I say that, because English clubs are operating on a much lower salary cap to many other teams in the competition. And the point I made was that the depth of the squad is not really there. That said, when English clubs can put out a full first 15, which they did in pretty much every case this weekend, some of the teams they were playing against were putting out second string sides, like Stade Francais, for example, played very much a second choice team against Sale. But all the English clubs put their best teams out, and when they do, they've got some quality. And the other thing I think is worth pointing out is because 3 clubs went bust last year, London Irish, Wasps and Worcester, all of the players from those clubs have been scattered to the winds. And it means that a lot of these English clubs that picked up wins at the weekend in the Champions Cup have acquired some really good players from other clubs a lot cheaper than they probably would otherwise be able to get them. Thinking for Harlequins, Chandler Cunningham South was at London Irish last year. He had a great game. For Bath, Alfie Barbary has been brilliant. And Ollie Lawrence has been great. And they were both at Wasps and Worcester respectively. So maybe it's not as bad as I thought it was for the English clubs, but actually weirdly, because the other teams have gone bust, and so they're able to have a better quality team cheaper than they would otherwise be able to get it. So it fits within the salary cap. Anyway, we'll watch this one and see how it plays out. But week 1, great for English Gallagher Premiership clubs. There were lots of rivalries rekindled over the opening weekend, and it was great to see, wasn't it, on Sunday, the champions of Europe, La Rochelle, taking on the beaten finalists, Leinster, in a bit of a grudge match, in horrendous conditions, it has to be said, in northwest France. Windswept and the rain was sweeping in, and there was no love lost between these teams. Proper niggle, and you love to see it. And that's one of the things when I think about my love for this competition over the years, it's the storylines that you follow chapter by chapter, year after year. And sometimes these rivalries can build and grow a real animosity. And it feels like we've got one of those rivalries for the ages between La Rochelle and Leinster. And obviously Leinster came out on top on this one. They'll be delighted with that. But as I say, there's always new rivalries being forged. And it got very spicy. Munster versus Bayonne. Now Bayonne are sort of a rising force in French rugby. And they've got big names that they've signed for next season. Matteo Carreras from Newcastle is going to be joining them. So they're a team to watch on the rise, and they went and got a draw in Munster, and at one point there was a big fight with lots of players involved and even the crowd getting involved, which obviously I'm not going to condone, but I do like a bit of niggle, I'll say that. Favourites under fire. A lot of the people that in my preview video and the bookies, the bookmakers, had a lot of teams right up there with the favourites, and they didn't deliver. La Rochelle being one, Racing 92, Sia Khaleesi's team, Charles Olivon and his Toulon side got a defeat, an unexpected defeat at home. The Stormers, who looked with the bookmakers were and maybe still will be the best placed South African team, and Munster as well. But actually, there are other teams that look legit. You just have to consider the Bulls, for example, from South Africa. Look like a proper team, and probably the best of the South African teams. Now I've seen the first weekend of rugby, but it'll be interesting to see how teams like La Rochelle bounce back. One thing that has to be said is there's only 8 teams get eliminated after the pool stage, so we've got all these games, 48 matches, and we're only going to get rid of 8 sides. and then we're into the last 16 when it will get really, really interesting. So if you do lose in this competition, the old competition, if you had a loss like some of these teams had this weekend, you might not recover from it. I think most of these teams will recover from it and probably be all right. And, the results, as we saw, some great results for English clubs, some convincing performances, talking about some of the favourites that are doing well. Toulouse and Bordeaux both look in really, really good form. Really entertaining match in Paris between Harlequins and Racing. That was an absolute belter. And Bristol getting a last-minute victory with a drop goal against Lyon as well. It was a great game. As for my team of the week, well, I'm going to go through the 15 players, and same goes as always. If you have a player you think I've missed, get stuck in the comments below. That's what they're there for. But my loose head prop from the opening round of games, Beno Urbano for Bath. He has to be in the England shop window now, doesn't he? With the issues that England have got in their front row, Beno Urbano, real low centre of gravity, great ball carrier, and he looked like he can do his nuts and bolts at scrum time as well. Him and Will Stewart, two good English props, had a good day at the office. So Beno Urbano, my loose head prop. Hooker, Dan Sheehan, who, if you've watched the channel for any length of time, you know I've got a real soft spot for this guy. What a player. And he's great with all his attacking rugby, but what he did in that Leinster win over La Rochelle, the European champions, he just put a lot of dog out there and really grafted. Massive defensive shift from Dan Sheehan. Sipi Falatea, tight head prop for Bordeaux, man of the match on Friday night, and absolutely in my team of the weekend from round one. He just did everything. He was absolutely brilliant. Maybe Awini Atonio can retire from international rugby after all, because France have got a handy tight head there, haven't they? Into the second row and staying with the French side, and Toulouse's Richie Arnold. He got a try. He made some rampaging runs, and they've just got such a powerful pack, and Richie Arnold was at the heart of it. And for Leinster, James Ryan was a co-captain, and he led by example. Deeds and words from James Ryan. He was a colossus. Massive defensive shift. Everywhere, huge stick. He was a kind of guy, he just sticks his head in the spokes, puts his head into some dark places for his team, and it was performances like James Ryan's that got them the win in the end. Into the back row, Elrig Lowe. I like the look of this guy. I mean, I believe he's more of a number 8 than a flanker, and a potential heir to the throne long term of Dwayne Vermeulen in the number 8 shirt for South Africa. I mean, they've got some handy players. I'll come on to number 8 in a minute. But flanker, Elrig Lowe, the whole back row for the Bulls looked very, very good with Van Staden and Hanekom. But I like this guy most of all. Just a wrecking ball of a player. Really, really like the look of Lowe. Into the back row, South African origin, but playing at Exeter Chiefs, Jacques Vermeulen. I mean, you can't give him much more high praise than say he eclipsed Charles Olivon for Toulon. The great Charles Olivon, and Jacques Vermeulen put him in the shade, was just everywhere. His work rate is phenomenal. Just never stops carrying. He was brilliant. Number 8, Caelan Doris for Leinster, just class. I mentioned the Bulls back row, and Cameron Hanekom, another potential long-term number 8 solution for South Africa. The back row talent they've got in their squad is just ridiculous. In fact, that goes for every position, doesn't it? Front row, second row, back row, you name it, the whole pack. South Africa are, they've got enough players that they can basically give a ton of players to other countries. Where would Japan and Scotland and the like be without South African forwards? Anyway, Caelan Doris, class. Absolutely class. And with the conditions as they were, he had to put in a lot of... do a lot of the dark, nasty stuff, but he always has moments of class with the ball in his hands as well. 3 Leinster players in my team of the week forward pack. I think that tells a story in such a big game. Into the backs, and Nolan Le Garrec, scrum half. Got tries, ball carries. I mean, he'll be wondering how he was on a losing team tonight, but that was just the magic of Quins managed to get the win. Racing 92 will be kicking themselves. Le Garrec, young guy, what is he, 21, scrum half, basically 6th choice scrum half, but Antoine Dupont's at the Olympics, Baptiste Saran for Toulon got an injury to his shoulder, which looked relatively serious. Hope he gets well soon. But could the waves be parting for Nolan Le Garrec, the next young prodigal scrum half in France? Could he be the one to come through and capitalise? We'll see. In that same game, and at number 10, Marcus Smith. I mean, what a player. Oh, by the way, I should have mentioned Jameson Gibson-Park was brilliant in that out of the scrum halves. Ben Spencer was really good as well. But as for the fly halves, it was a toss-up between Marcus Smith and Handré Pollard. And you kind of get the feeling that those two guys are going to be going head-to-head in the Gallagher Premiership for Leicester and Quins, and also maybe England and South Africa in the years ahead. And Marcus Smith did everything he could to press his case to be wearing the England 10 jersey in the Six Nations. He was absolutely brilliant. And yeah, Handré Pollard was great as well. A lot of good performers. Callum Sheedy with his drop goal to win. But Marcus Smith drop goal from nearly halfway as well. Which actually, that drop goal proved to be the decisive points because it was 4 tries apiece for both teams. All of them converted. And Marcus Smith's drop goal was the difference between the sides. He got a try as well and just led his team, as he does, brilliantly. On the wing then, Kurtley Arendse is who I selected on the left wing. Do you know what? He really impresses me. His attack, obviously, is incredible. His support lines, just wheels he's got. But his defensive work is massive. He did plenty of it. And one of the best players on the pitch for me in that Bulls-Saracens game. 12, Bernard Janzi van Rensburg, another South African, who could qualify for England soon enough if he sticks around at Bristol for any length of time longer. And he was great for Bristol in that win against Lyon at inside centre. So many contenders at outside centre have gone for Henry Slade purely for being the Iceman, kicking the winning points, leading his team, a team full of kids, and he was kind of the old guy in the team, getting his side into the right parts of the pitch, making great decisions, being a cool head when it mattered. And he's just such a wonderful player. I love Henry Slade. I'm really pleased for him that he kicked those winning points. And what a story for Exeter. But Ollie Lawrence was fantastic at 13. I forgot the name of who's the name of the Munster, Nankerville. He was really good as well at 13, but Henry Slade gets the nod. Mathis Lebel, I've spelt his first name wrong, I apologise there. Mathis Lebel was great for Toulon. Fantastic finisher. And again, another brilliant player that can't get anywhere near his national team. And he would if he were another nationality. And Brice Dulin, another guy, not good enough for the national team, but a fantastic player. La Rochelle's fullback was so good in really horrible, difficult conditions. And Villy LaRue, I'll give a mention to as well for the Bulls. I thought he was great. Kane and Moody as well in the back. That whole back three were great for the Bulls. Right, I've got a top 3 players of the weekend, who I have got as Sipi Falatea at 3, James Ryan at 2, and player of the week, Marcus Smith. Tell me what you think about that. Tell me what you think about the first weekend. I'll have a preview video of round 2 coming up later in the week. But as ever, keep your ears and eyes peeled for more player power ranking videos, more stories and reaction as it breaks in the world of rugby union. It's the sport I love, and if you love it too, hit subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, tell a mate, and I'll see you on the next video.